Mercy TV, Wednesday night, the 22nd.
Hi, welcome to our weekly meeting, and I am Perry. Producer PK is behind the camera there tonight, and we're bringing you the Mercy meeting. This is to help folks with the issues that they face here in Oregon concerning the medical cannabis. That is helping to get their cards, finding medicine now, finding a grower or getting to grow themselves, best methods on medicating, and of course where to find the resources to make all these things happen. Also changes, whether or not you're making a change yourself or it's a change to the program, as well as legislative items that affect the medical marijuana program here in Oregon. And of course we'll be talking about the national issues as well as what's happening internationally. Latest international news/contact, we got an email from someone in Portugal. They were telling us about a global petition to allow hemp oil for its ability to help in fighting cancer. So looks like Rick Simpson oil is getting a global attention, a global effort to see to it that folks have access to just that one way of utilizing cannabis for medical purposes, and that is the RSO Rick Simpson oil, or hemp oil as it's sometimes referred to. This meeting is held every Wednesday between 7 and 9 p.m. Folks are invited, encouraged to attend. It is open to the public. There is no fee to attend. And it is at 1745 Capitol Street Northeast. That's in Salem. The zip code's 97301. And as we said, it's all the issues here. At this point, we'd like to, we're heavily on the campaign. We're coming to a critical point in our campaign to add post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, to the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program, also referred to as the OMMP. It is the bill, Senate Bill 281, which is going to add PTSD to the OMMP, is currently in the Oregon State House. So you need to contact your representative to get them to vote yes on it when it comes before them for a vote. To find out who your representative is, you can visit our webpage at mercycenters.org. There you'll see a notice saying the campaign action, and if you page down, you'll see the links to find out who your legislator is and how to contact them. While you're at it, you can find out about all the bills that are happening here in Oregon State this year. In addition to Senate Bill 281, which is to add PTSD to the OMMP, we also have a bill to set up dispensaries. That's House Bill 3460, and we have a bill for legalization bouncing around in the House currently. That's House Bill 3371. So while you're at it, calling your representative on 281, contact them about these other bills too. Yes?
Well, a couple of years ago, we were doing a campaign on 80. Wouldn't that be about the dispensaries that's going around in the House now?
Actually, M80 was for legalization, so Measure 80 is more closely aligned with House Bill 3371, which would have set up, made cannabis legal for everyone. 3460 is a dispensary bill, so that would be just for folks that are medical cannabis.
874.
874?
No, 74.
Oh yes, Measure 74 back in 2010 was, I believe, about dispensaries. Yeah, was to set up a dispensary system. or something to that effect. Yes, and it did not make it.
But now it's here in the.
We have House Bill 3371, and that's pretty much M80, and we have a dispensary bill too. So that's there's two opportunities there, and hopefully at least one of those will make it through. But the main thing is Senate Bill 281 to get PTSD added, and we really need everybody in on that. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hey.
Please have a seat. Please. She's talked to me before. She just, the medical thing. So that's where she's at.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
She needs to get her card.
The doctors, and
Okay.
records, and she's been getting burned on the streets and talking. Go ahead. You know what? This is Perry. And
Hello.
talk to
Hi.
Perry, please.
Talk to
no,
Perry?
Yes. It's fine. Everybody's a patient. Everybody's patient. That's why we do this.
Okay.
The other people that were here just left, so I don't know, maybe they're coming back. But you can, please, everybody's a patient.
So she's in the process of getting her card then? or-
No, I haven't been, I don't know what to do. I heard about Mercy Clinic
Mhm.
from a magazine that I saw at a T-Zone,
Okay.
and I read what it said, and I'm been trying to get my card, but I don't know the first step to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who to talk to. I've been buying medical marijuana, so I thought, from people on the street,
Uh-huh.
and I've been burned.
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting burned left and right. I don't know what to do. This is the only medicine that I feel I can trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to do, and I'm at your mercy.
So you don't have your card yet. All right. Well, we need to get your card, and so to do that, we're gonna either get your doc to
Be
sign.
comfortable.
You sure?
Sure. Yeah.
You
So
didn't come out of the barn.
in order to get the signature, we need to either get your doc to sign or get copies of your medical records and get them to the specialist. Mercy has a doctor that comes into town once a month, and in order to see it's that same process of getting your records to us, and we'll vet them to make sure that their chart notes, that they talk about the condition, that they're signed by the doctor, and all that fun stuff. Failing that, we'll steer you to appropriate clinics or emergency rooms to get those records and get enough of the records that you need. So that's something that one of the things we do here at Mercy is help the folks get their card. Now we'll vet the records for you even if you don't use the clinic. We just do that for folks. It's not a matter of us getting paid for doing that or anything. It's helping folks get their card. So we also list all the other clinics that are happening here in Oregon. So that's some things that we can help you with. Of course, as we said initially, the best thing is to get your doc to sign. So is your doctor amenable to signing for your card?
Probably.
Okay, good.
He, probably not. I mean, she is a she, and she's not a doctor. She's a registered nurse.
Oh, well, they can't sign anyway, so.
And I don't have a doctor.
Okay, so we'll have to send you to emergency room visits and stuff to build up this record
Well,
history.
in North Platte, Nebraska, where I'm from, I have records there that show that I have problems with vertigo and IBS, and I suffer with post-traumatic stress too. So, plus I have high blood pressure from stress.
Okay. Unfortunately, those aren't in and of themselves qualifying conditions here in Oregon. Pain, nausea, cancer, AIDS, HIV.
Nausea is what I have with vertigo.
Okay, so we need to get that documented on your
Well,
mean-
I've been to emergency in Dallas in 2008 with that.
Okay,
They had to medicate me because of it.
okay.
Um,
Well, that's something. We try to get our hands on that record. That's one. That's a little older than we generally like to have.
and then I was overdosing 2011. I was on meds, and my doctor made me quit cold turkey, and so I was withdrawing. I was taking Klonopin and a few other things for my PTSD and my anxiety, and almost died twice. I won't take any kind of pills now. I'm afraid of them. But I have to take my high blood pressure meds because if I stop it, I'll have a heart attack. So I'm screwed. Sorry to say that, but I feel screwed.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I've been smoking marijuana for all my conditions for at least 10 years now. I've been getting it from people. And if I can't get my card, I'll still get it from people. But I don't want to do that because people are burning me left and right. They're selling me crap, and I'm 62. And I feel like I'm all alone in this. Which I am. I'm all alone in this. I don't know where to go. You know, at my age, people are saying, she must be a cop. Why else would she be doing this? But I'm not a cop. I just need this marijuana to help me make it through the day. I don't know what else to say. I said it all.
and so the qualifying conditions, we need to get the records on those, one of the qualifying conditions. So we need to make sure that pain or nausea, as your case may be, is noted in the records that we get. So hopefully the records from Dallas. You say you were in North Dakota,
No, North Platte, Nebraska.
Nebraska. Okay.
I'm from Nebraska.
How long ago was Nebraska?
7 years.
7 years. That's
I've
probably
been
too
here in
old for us to
Oregon.
use. So
2004 is when I was diagnosed with all these problems, and
Okay.
it's been ongoing, but I haven't been able to see anyone about it.
well, your doctor's records, if they're a MD or a DO from Nebraska, would apply, but they're too old. So we'd try to get something more current, if possible. So we'll work on those things for certain. And possibly some of the nurses or documentation of your condition may apply also. We'll have to see. It's up to the doctor who's going to be signing for you, whether we send you to one of the other clinics here in Salem or up in Portland or something like that, or the doctor that comes into town once a month for us. You know, we'll see what their requirements are and stuff. So
There's one more problem. I'm receiving Social Security, and the government will cut me off if they know that
where did you get that?
I was told that.
The
That's
government
why-
did?
I'm sorry?
The government told you that?
No, somebody told me that. Somebody that
Okay.
works for them.
Somebody that works for them said they would cut you off of your Social Security.
So I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll get you some legal assistance for that as well, I suppose.
That's why I'm like this.
Hmm.
Because
Well, the folks that are in HUD housing, yeah, they definitely have to worry about that.
I'm
Yeah.
not in HUD housing.
But it's the same kind of thing.
Yes. Yes.
We're in that right now. We're house hunting, and we have to be so careful about where we pick because we
You
are
will
patients.
keep
That,
it under your
we
hat.
can't risk somebody, saying that, even though we're medical, we
He's
still
all
partake
around
in
us.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately for the folks that
Finally
go
came
through
somewhere
this,
to help.
it's not a question of them having cannabis on the premises or using it or any of that nature. It's just having the card is grounds enough for them to screw with
Yeah,
you.
and that's messed up.
So in that case, we understand the folks' situation and do what we can to work within their parameters. But for Social Security, the state has a discount for folks that are on Social Security and getting their state medical marijuana card. So, and I haven't heard of that, anyone losing
Really?
their benefits. So I'm kind of wondering if that someone told you that just to mess with you, if they were inaccurate or
It's a possibility.
something like that. But we'll get you in touch with the right folks who are on the same situation. So at the least, we can get you to legal resources to
That would be
work
so
on that.
great.
So
That's what I need.
Harry?
Somehow to get my card
Yeah,
so
what's
that I
it?
can
Yeah, relax.
be human again, feel whole again. I don't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can't do it the way I've been doing it. I
Okay.
just feel like I'm ripping myself off
mhm.
because you go buy some from someone and
Well, the streets is no place for folks to get medical grade cannabis. You can barely rely that it's cannabis, period.
that's
Much less what they need in the round. If they need a particular strain, if they need a particular modality, like cookies or oils or stuff like that, yeah. The street, the black market, is not concerned with the medical cannabis issues, so no, they're not going to give you good results.
and so I'm smoking something that doesn't help me and gives me headaches sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not good for me. I mean, I can't handle that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm here today, because I need help. And I talked to Sonny a long while back, and I just finally got my courage today
Mm-hmm.
to come. So here I am.
Okay, well, that's what we need to do. Get some records, either get them from what you've already done or get new ones generated. In the meantime, know your affirmative defense rights and try to keep your possession to like 2 ounces or less. Because folks should be advised that if you're going to use affirmative defenses, if you're not able to get your card or something like that, that you don't have the same limits that you would if you had your card. That's part of the legality of affirmative defense, that you're 2 ounces or less. So folks be aware of that.
I couldn't afford that much anyway.
Same with folks that, whether or not you can afford it, some folks use it for conditions that aren't qualifying conditions, so they're in the same boat as those who can't afford it. You've got an affirmative defense. That's the case with folks that currently use it for PTSD. It's not one of the qualifying
But
conditions.
it works.
Yeah,
And it works very well.
that's what we hear from veterans. We've had a number of veterans here and
And
their parents and
it works
others,
better
and so-
than any mind-altering pill that they give you, because it frees me. I can think better. I can do things better when I'm medicated that way than when I'm medicated the other way. You understand? The pills
Mhm.
are not what I want to take.
Yeah, we understand, but your representatives need to understand. So folks need to contact your representatives today, tonight, and then tell everybody you know, and then tell everybody you don't know, and get them to do it also. I was down at the legislature today handing out newsletters, talking to representatives, getting them to vote yes on 281, and I found that my representative, Representative Julie Parrish, Republican, said no, she's not going to let veterans have medical cannabis for PTSD. No, she's not going to stop the raids on them. She's not going to stop them losing everything for it. The reason was because the feds hate them. The feds going to punish them. That's your excuse for not helping them? What, you got to join the jump? You got to jump and dogpile on them too, Representative? I don't follow this, you know? This isn't about welfare for somebody. It's about us not spending money. It's about us not punishing the people that went and served in our wars and stuff, along with other folks, police, firefighters, victims of abuse, victims of tragedies like, oh gosh, 9/11, you know? But it ain't going to happen unless we, the people, make it happen. So folks got to get out there and contact your reps and get that at it. Thanks.
I know.
While you're at it, there's several bills out there in play. Also, we've got like a half dozen pro-cannabis bills. And we've got to get got to get your representative, your senator, to vote yes on them. And when you get done pounding away at your states reps, you want to go for your federal reps as well, because there's about half dozen bills there too. 2 of them for medical cannabis, 2 on cannabis law reform. There's also a hemp bill, and it'd be really great for this country if we can get that to happen. Failing that, you want to get leaders up in there that's going to make it happen too. So not just this year, but next year and the years after. We want to base our voting on folks that do what we say on these issues here. So, future generations can then get their card for PTSD, for IBS, for these other things, for fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia itself isn't a qualifying condition, but the pain from it. So when folks are lucky enough to suffer pain, measurable pain, that their doctor recognizes, they can get their card for it, and they shouldn't wait till it's that bad. That's not a good application of cannabis's ability to prevent, to cure things.
Plus,
Okay.
I have arthritis.
Again, arthritis itself is not a qualifying condition, but pain from it, and so you'd need to get your ER visit or your doctor's visits to note that pain from arthritis.
I'm in pain all the time, so.
Okay. Well, it's just a matter of getting it properly documented then, as far as getting your card. But then you're going to need to get medicine on a regular basis. Your situation's not much better. There's no legal dispensaries here in Oregon. No one's really allowed to sell it. So you've got to go to meetings like this and network with folks and find their access and stuff. There's a bill to allow dispensaries in Oregon. It's House Bill 3460, and so folks should, again, bang away at your representatives, and we might get that in this year. I've been fortunate enough to meet with other activists around the state. We've talked some with national cannabis law reform interests, and the word is that we're going to get some money into the state, and there's going to be an initiative on the ballot in 2014 for legalization. Also, the Marijuana Policy Project is committed to launching an initiative in 2016 if necessary. So there's a lot of interest in seeing that here in Oregon. I think that reflects the popular opinion in polls and stuff like that. I wish it was common sense prevailing, yes, particularly in the legislature, but they were given 3371. They didn't push it through. Unfortunately, I think they were waiting to see what the feds did with Washington State and Colorado before they did anything themselves. And quite frankly, I'd rather have leadership doing things rather than politicians waiting and gauging and judging and nonsense like that. But it's only going to happen when we put those kind of people up in there. And the way to find them is to use this issue. Ask everybody running for office, from dog catcher on up. And not just times like this when we're trying to get things passed, but when they're running for office. And that's how we're going to get good people up there. We're not going to do what needs to be done on this. And it's just the right thing to do. You know, we can't screw up on this by stopping ending this war.
Yeah.
You know, the most imperfect end of prohibition is still better than prohibition on its best day. Because prohibition on its best day only wastes money. Yeah. Every now and then prohibition kills. It kills kids, it kills good people that mean something to this country, that do things and all. And we need to keep pointing that out. I mean, the bottom line on cannabis marijuana is that the prohibition of cannabis has killed more people, more children, than cannabis has. Understand that, folks? Prohibition has killed more people than cannabis has. It's killed more children. So since the thing we're doing this, since it's all about the children, we should stop doing it. Wouldn't you think? But it's up to you, America, because it's our kids that are being killed from it, not theirs, all right? Their kids are profiting from this stuff. They're getting the pot, they're selling it all, they're making lots of money, and just you and mine, ours, are the ones suffering that run a risk, okay? And that's going to keep going on until we end it, because they're nothing but fun and profit for them. And we're certainly applying that here in Oregon. We're doing that with our Wednesday night meeting here, where we're helping the folks to get their card, to find medicine now, to find a grower or to get growing themselves. And that's what we need to chat with this lady who was speaking here about, getting her card and get with the program. And getting to a point where she can just simply have a life, have a quality of life. Too many folks utilizing cannabis for medical purposes have got to go through so many hoops. As we're saying, the folks have part about getting your card, getting all your documentation and stuff there, and then trying to find medicine. Folks having to hit the street and to deal with, God knows what in the process, running all kinds of health risks. Not just in the medicine they receive, but in the process and all. And it shouldn't wait until it's your family or friend that's out there suffering before you give a darn. There's an interesting thing. Folks should go to our website, mercycenters.org, go to our legislative section, look at the videos that we have there. In one video, the head of one of the United Workers Union here, Local 555, I believe, relayed the story of how his son was in a car accident, ended up in a situation where he was taking all kinds of medications for his situation and stuff, and just out of desperation, having tried all these other things, finding that cannabis alone worked miracles for his son. But now we couldn't get it. I mean, it was hard enough getting with the program and all that, but now he saw this official in the union, this person who before would have been, all for the arguments about preventing marijuana cannabis, but when his own son came to his own family, and saw the difference, and then of course, well, how can you deny this? So don't you wait until your friend or family and then you get active. Understand now that the folks that outside of the medical marijuana program, the folks that they arrest and persecute and everything else, cost the citizens of it. I mean, that's why we did OMA in the first place, really. Sure, Oregon's progressive, Oregon's compassionate, and these other things, but mostly Oregon's cost effective. Oregon's cheap, and people didn't want to pay for the hunting them down and arresting and caging and all these other things that happens to this class of potheads. Hell, they don't want to do it in general. Oregon a long time ago said, it's a misdemeanor. If you got less than an ounce, we're going to fine you, and that's fine with us. And all their attempts to bring back the death penalty for the least about is always defeated here in Oregon. That's they got more common sense than that, at least with the folks. Unfortunately, some of our legislators haven't quite caught up to that. I remember one legislator saying, in regards to the PTSD bill, that he recommended folks, especially these veterans, just get themselves a bottle of Jack Daniels and drink their way through it, which was a real dislocate with reality of cannabis versus alcohol. I mean, you talk to any cop and ask him who he'd rather deal with, and 10 times out of 10, you're going to get the cannabis. So that was kind of discouraging. I find this person was seriously disconnected from reality of cannabis, but also had completely ignored the testimony of veterans that had been, like a 2-hour hearing before that, where they talked about their comrades who weren't here because that was the only legal option available to them, one of the few. The others is these pills that kill you when they don't drive you crazy. And so to completely ignore these veterans' testimony on this, as well as be dislocated, what can you say about your representatives there? Unfortunately, they weren't the only ones. There was one that brought up what we refer to as the dead monkey scam in trying to prevent the Senate Bill 281, which is PTSD for the Oregon medical marijuana program. For those of you not familiar with the history here, the dead monkey scam is a case where back in the 70s, to prove that marijuana causes brain damage, they took a bunch of monkeys and they filled a chamber up with smoke until there was nothing but smoke, and they, in essence, suffocated on the marijuana smoke. They then cut open their heads and showed them all over the place in this big campaign about this is your brain on drugs. Unfortunately, it wasn't true. That wasn't your brain on drugs, that was your brain on suffocation. Later, when the study was examined by real scientists who didn't have an axe to grind, it was proven that if you simply removed all the air in the room and did that the brains looked the same way. Unfortunately, the media about the correction to it didn't get the same press as the original lie, and so we face that same nonsense here today. Just a little while ago, a senator on the East Coast claimed that marijuana kills, and it's undoubtedly referring to that same nonsensical study that he did. We certainly had a senator here in Oregon refer to it and tried to deny 281. So the dead monkey scam is alive and well, at least here in Oregon. And so our efforts to educate that, as well as all the other reefer madness, go unabated also. It's up to you guys, though. It's up to you to get it to your representative, and then hold them accountable when they don't respect it. 2014, we're going to have a chance to clear out some of these folks. 2016 will come again. And not just with our representatives here in Oregon, and not just with the governor, but with our U.S. representatives, with the presidency. Past time, we Americans made that our litmus test for leadership, and not just saying it, but doing it. So as we said before, there's about a dozen bills in the Oregon State Legislature. Please come and get your Oregon Cannabis Connection here. We're at 1745 Capitol Street Northeast. We're just behind the Graber Insurance Building, which is on your left on Capitol Street. So come down, there's a little alleyway just past there, turn in, we're in the back. Pick up your Oregon Cannabis Connection, some other literature, some voter registrations too. And dispense those out. It's got the information about the legislative matters, also resources that are available here in Oregon, a lot of good recipes, and some nice stories, fun things in there as well. And also the federal bills that are happening. There are 2 legalization bills, there's a couple of medical cannabis bills, and there's even a hemp bill too. And for those in the know, the hemp issue is the real issue. If we got that planted, a hemp seed planted, if we got the hemp growing, that's the game. Because that's where the real money is and where the real power lies, I'm afraid. So definitely call your U.S. senators and representatives, and let's get that hemp bill in at the national level, if nothing else. We are also working on more information. We, of course, as we said before, are a national organization. We have folks contacting us from all over the country on getting their card, finding medicine now, all the issues, or getting a program in their state. Much of the same things we talked here, creating the representatives, running for office, putting how to do an initiative, things like that. We also get international contacts. And we have a note from someone in Portugal that there's an international petition to allow the Rick Simpson or hemp oil for We the People. So we'll get that the link to that petition up on our website and get more information out about how folks can help with that one. Along with the other petitions. Also bills that are happening in other states, in case you know somebody in these states. Get the word out to them. For example, Washington State has got some amendments to their medical cannabis as well as their legalization efforts being implemented. Also, we were building up our information on strains, also applications. Recently, we've had a some interest in the oils, hemp oils of another medical cannabis oil of another nature. The Rick Simpson oil that we spoke about earlier is a concentrated form, meant to be taken internally generally. There's also a method for making an oil using medical cannabis, and in this case it's less concentrated and it's meant to be applied topically or rubbed on. The best aspects of the hemp oil that's applied topically is that it's immediate effect to areas. It's like the extremities. If you are suffering from arthritis, things of that nature, take that oil and apply it right to the limbs, the extremities. Whereas if you're consuming it internally, not as much would reach to those portions that you would applying it in the topical manner. Plus, applying it by rubbing it on, the folks aren't going to get high as you would if you consumed it internally. So there's a couple of factors that are really interest folks, especially those who are new with the program and really want to avoid the toxicity, that highness that particularly comes from consuming concentrates like the Rick Simpson oil is. Now, to make the canna oil, as we've described it here, which ends up as a liquid form, again, you apply it topically. Depending on what you make it with, you could also use it in your cooking processes too. The general process, though, is to take your extractor, get your medicine, put it in the container, put it in the extractor, and let it soak in, shaking it, stirring it on a regular basis. At the end of 30 days, then you would drain off that oil and use it in the best prescribed manner. We have a case here, a couple of cases actually, where there were some respiratory conditions. One case is bronchitis.
COPD.
Huh?
COPD.
I don't know specifically, but there was a couple of cases where folks applied it by rubbing the oil on here, and it cleared up their issue.
Told me the other day, they told me that.
So it's for COPD, I wouldn't be surprised. Also migraines, folks applying the oil here can feel a lot of relief.
Surprised at how many people have it and don't know it.
And as we said before, it removes the high concern a lot. I don't know if it shows up as trace element, probably very little if it does. So those are a couple of and it's relatively easy to make. Of course, you got to get the good medicine. The best medicine helps, and that's a matter of resource hunting, and that's one of the things we do here. We got the Oregon Cannabis Connection, which has a lot of information. We have our website here, but mostly the experience of the individuals here. So either give us a call, send us an email, or come on in and get the info, depending on what the issue is, particularly where you're at that point of you're trying to decide if you're going to grow yourself or find a grower. For most folks, it's kind of a no-brainer. You don't have the space. You don't have the knowledge. You don't have all the things necessary. Even when you've got a place that's yours, relatively secure and all that, the setup might not work. There's kind of what we consider like 4 pillars that you need to grow. You need to have earth, air, fire, and water, as it were. You need to have earth, soil, something to grow it in. You want to have air to it, which normally folks will, well, what do you mean air? Well, you want to make sure it's a flow. If it's outdoor, it's not an issue. But if it's an indoor grow, you want to make sure that you've got a good air coming in, and you want your bad air being taken out. So yeah, make sure you have a good flow, and not just a fan blowing in the room, but making sure there's something that's being drawn out. So a good soil or something to grow it in, your air, your water, of course, going into it. Again, if you're outside, it's one matter. If you're indoors, another thing. And fire or juice, electricity. outdoors, you got the sun, indoors, you got the electricity thing. So, deciding what you're going to grow, looking at your situation. We here at Mercy, made up of folks going through the same thing, can help folks by going over the parameters and discussing them with you, and even helping. I mean, we've got folks that have put grow rooms together or set up grows. Certainly, as far as getting your materials, if you need plants, babies, that's what we do. We don't have a store. It's not like folks can walk in and buy. You got all your choices there. It's you let folks know. And folks will bring clones on a regular basis as they can, and you just need to come here on a regular basis to the Wednesday meeting and connect with folks there and then. Also, though, you're going to want to know where to get soil or get lights if you need it. What about the water? Do you know you need to worry about your pH balance there? If you don't have the right pH, your plants all shrivel up and die, even though you've got everything else absolutely right. And food, feeding, and then the lighting, of course. Folks need to be aware that you want on your artificial lights all the stuff that you would normally get from the sunshine. So folks recommend what's referred to as sodium halide lights, and things of that nature. There's also a decision of 400 watts versus 1,000, and then you're going to want to do the most to, should I put foil on the walls and everything, get the most light reflection on? Well, talk with folks, see what the truth of that. Does that really work for folks, or does it all, in fact, freak out the plants and they're not sure where the sun's coming from, and they hermaphrodite or something like that on you? Oh, yeah, and there's other things. Bugs, molds, weather fluxes, criminal activity. How do you safeguard? What do you do when the police show up? My God, I've got kids in the vicinity. I'm 1,000 feet of a school. What if my work finds out? What about my parents? What about my church? Oh my God, what will I do? Well, survive, I hope. I mean, this is talking about your life, and the medicine that works for you. So use it responsibly, and you shouldn't have any problems. But if you do, give us a call here at Mercy, 503-363-4588. If we can't help you, if we can't talk you down from your situation, if it's not an obvious facade, we can steer you to legal folks who can help you navigate it to the most successful conclusion. And so that's the new news on that there. Questions, comments? What's our time frame? Oh, we got about 45 minutes in there.
We got 10 minutes.
About 10 more minutes there. So hope you. Well, sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is a marijuana tax stamp?
Oh, that's a scam to prevent folks from doing anything with cannabis. It's a double whammy that was set up by government. Not everybody has it. I think Arizona still, or used to. What it is they as an extra punishment, they set it up so that you had to get a stamp to do anything with cannabis. And if you didn't have that stamp, that's another penalty that they could do. So it's just another charge that they could pile on to doing it. And then they never produced the stamp, so
Right, you cannot buy
you can't buy it because they don't make it, which was
But then
deemed unconstitutional,
because
and
you
so
don't have the stamp, they charge you for
right.
it.
So it was deemed unconstitutional. So if anybody tries that on anybody,
It's
then
already happened to me
you were charged with not having the stack
in Nebraska.
in Nebraska. See, yeah. So you should fight that. But it's like the DUI. Folks get a DUI MJ, and you've got to be aware to challenge that, because simply having a trace element of cannabis in your system is not proof of impairment.
No.
And if folks, contact NORML, NORML.org, get a hold of Paul Armentano. He's an expert witness on DUI MJs, and just having him on your witness list does wonders for folks to weed out the prohibitionists trying to pull scams like this. Same with the Cannabis Tax Stamp Act, whether it's Arizona, Nebraska, or some other enlightened state like Alabama or something.
Alaska has it too.
Cheapers. Be aware of the truth of the matter on this, and that it is easily defeatable. So make sure before you agree to any deals, you get a hold of your normal attorney and know your options, for sure. And there's folks that are going to try to twist every angle here in Oregon. We last year, we have one of the few federal medical cannabis patients here in the state of Oregon, and that poor gal was hassled by the local yokels. It was funny if it wasn't so tragic. The state pooper hanging out outside one of the meetings, much like this, just grabbing everybody and shaking them down, and he's grabbing all these state people, and he's saying, I don't care about your card, I follow federal law, even though he's a state trooper, okay? So he's going down the line pulling the scam and all the people, and then he gets to a federal medical cannabis patient. Well, I've got a federal card. Ha ha ha. Whoa. So how could he have him go and say, well, I'm just doing federal. Well, here's federal then. So how's he going to get around that? Well, he said he'd never heard of it. So it obviously is fraud, so he took all her medicine too.
Wow.
See? So fortunately, that person had resources. She put the call out that night. Folks came over and got her some medicine. She went down to the station and got all her stuff back from the poopers there. But it's still her trip to make, still going through that hassle. Her and the rest of them was stuck out there in the cold, putting through this crap. This other poor slob had $1,000. He was a caregiver and had his patient's pipe, and they charged him for the residue in the pipe. Even though he's legally entitled to claim it, to have that pipe on him. He's legally entitled to have that residue in the pipe for that patient. But he still had to go and fight that and back it off. And there's no penalty for the state pooper and just doing this stuff to folks because he felt like it. And in fact, he told our federal medical cannabis patients that they were given orders to do this from the U.S. attorney here. So the U.S. attorneys is coming to our state guys and telling them what to do and stuff. That's bogus, folks. It only happens due to marijuana war, okay? It only happens to us, Joe and Jane Putz citizen. Not to the big polluter, not to the banker. And that's a fact, Jack, because there's a bank here, HSBC. We got the story on our website. They laundered drug money to the tune of millions, billions of dollars. Did anybody go to jail? Did any one of them personally suffer fines? The bank suffered a penalty equivalent to 4 months of income for them. They got to keep the rest of it. They're not stopped from doing it again, nor anybody else. But they were basically too big to hold accountable to the same laws they hold you and me to. Stories on our website, folks. Go check it out. But that's the deal until we change it. By registering, voting, getting everybody we knew to know to do so also. So, we answer your question though. Maybe I got up on a thing in there. You talk about the Tax Act, okay. So, we talk about that. So getting your card here in Oregon, finding medicine in the short term, networking is the only real way. You got to find someone with excess medicine. So come to Mercy, places like that. Check out our website, look at the forums. We have all the online places to go and chat with folks and work over all the issues you have there, as well as all the other meetings and organizations in the state. So?
I don't have a computer, so I have no way of any of that.
Well, you can come down to the Mercy Center and use ours.
Oh.
So, if that would help. Library is another one too.
I never thought of that.
So, and that's particularly useful if you want to print off our doctor's packet. We have a packet to give to doctors to educate them, because the two things that we hear most often is that the doctor is concerned about prescribing smoke medicine. And in the Oregon system, they're not prescribing. The doctor's only signing a form that says you have one of the qualifying conditions. And there's the other methods other than smoking. There's the vaporizing, there's the oils that we talked about earlier, and so forth. So just educating on those two things, we got a very high success rate of getting the doctor to sign for you. So if you can go to the library, go to the doctor's page. It's It is on the home page on the right side. As you page on down, you'll see a list of conditions, and after that, doctors and nurses and so forth. So. Then we'll, gosh, I think we have one printed up, but if not, we'll try to get one printed up for folks that can't otherwise get one. And then, huh?
This is it.
Pretty much. If you're going to find a grower, again, you can utilize our forums list, as well as our list of meetings and meetups.
I got one waiting for me, but these fees are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
They just keep raising them. All this. Pretty soon they'll have them so high that we won't be able to.
Well, that's its purpose, to drive people out of the program.
I know. What is it up to now at the OMMP?
200 with the, or 250 if you have a grower. So,
What, to get a card?
yeah.
Yeah.
200?
Yeah.
250 if you have a grower.
250, Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just to register with the state. The
Yeah.
doctor's another 200.
I haven't renewed mine.
Yeah. The person we spoke about, the federal medical cannabis patient, also does not have her state card because she couldn't afford it. She was just priced right out of the ability to do
That's
so.
it. And I got somebody that likes it and that's waiting for me, and
And she had the reduced fee.
that's what I was gonna
See?
say.
But that $50 tacker for the grower was a killer.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine, luckily.
But it was meant to be too, and so we need to point that out. Also, there is some work in the Oregon State Legislature on dealing with that. That issue is not far from our minds, and we're hounding people on it. So, again, contact your representative on that.
It's Wyden, right? Ron, what's his last name?
Go to our website and enter the zip code, and they'll
He's
show you.
changed his mind on it too. He's for it.
Wyden's the U.S. runner. You want to talk to your
Right.
state person
Okay.
as well, particularly on Senate Bill 281, which is to add PTSD. Yeah.
How about the sunset clause? Will we find that out in Medford this year?
What's the sunset clause?
When they did the fee hike, there was supposedly a clause that's saying that would be re-examined in 2 years, or June of 2014, and possibly could be reduced at that time. So there was a clause written into the law that did the fee hike that said it should be examined and maybe reduced in 2 years.
Yeah, you know, I get food stamps. I get a whole $17 worth. I don't get the reduced rate. They get me every year. That's why I said I quit renewing mine. I know. I got my own little.
Huh. Okay. So they didn't give you the food stamp
No.
rate because they said you didn't have food stamps, or?
They said that I didn't have enough, and my income was too high.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, and that was the last time I renewed, and that's been, I think, since 2009, because I haven't renewed.
Mm.
I got my card, but I don't care.
Mm.
Don't come to my house.
Yeah, and they're happy to do that too.
Yeah, they will. They've already came. Told me and when I first got mine, they told me I had too many plants, and they told me to trim one of them and to get down and get a card, and I did. But
Oh, they're nice of them. That they don't usually do stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I was tripping. Okay. When I had them on my back porch, they were just little clones, you know, starting out. You know, I was playing is what I was doing. Yeah, they're the ones that sent me down to get a card. They said they were tired of coming up to my house.
Huh.
my one little plans.
Well,
They go to your house if you have a plant.
No, if somebody turns you in, I had
Uh,
some
yeah,
black
law
girl that
enforcement
lived
might-
next door to me.
She talked about law
Yeah.
enforcement showing up.
Some woman that kept calling. the
So
cops
yeah, if
on
folks are
me.
growing, they often have to observe the same security disciplines as if they were illegal. You want to make sure that your light isn't shining out from your thing. You want to worry
Yeah.
about the smell.
I blocked
Loose
in
lip
my-
sync ships, so it's a need to know basis. Yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
I boxed in my patio and had tarps up.
So I have to have $250 before I
Oh,
use.
you gotta have more than that. After that, you have to sign up with the state. You have to register with the state.
So yeah, the
That's
doctor is
the-
200,
The doctor's
and the
200.
state's 250 on top of that, so that's 450 altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are another 50 in there where you have to register with the state.
Now the 250,
Yeah,
50 of that is if you have a grower.
I have one.
So if you don't have a grower, if you're growing yourself, it's 200.
No, my guy's just waiting for me to. He can't do anything without, the deal.
So yeah, several representatives said there was too many people with the program when they did this thing, meaning that this is a way to deter people from joining, which I find horrendous. There's a certain amount of people that are allowed to be well. Are you kidding? And who determines that?
Yeah.
That's
I-
obscene. You know,
I
what kind of
don't know.
logic these clowns are going with here. Well, we're going to wrap it up and say goodbye to the folks in TV land. Come on back next time here for the Mercy Weekly meeting. Thanks much for the folks at CCTV for helping us to put this out. Producer PK and I say toodles. Next time.
Thank you. Good day.
Thank you for the ink too.
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.